Hello, welcome back to the channel. It is almost Halloween and I am craving a little dinner party. So my family's actually coming into town Friday and we are going to do a Hocus Pocus dinner theme night. That's my mom's favorite Halloween movie. So I thought it would be really fun to just do kind of a theme party. And there's gonna be a lot of different things that we're gonna be doing. But the first thing that we're going to do is actually make a butter candle. I've never done this. I've actually never even had a butter candle. But if you've ever seen the movie, there's actually like a black flame candle in the movie. And so I thought, well, that would be really cute to do a candle of some kind, and why not make it edible and do the trendy viral butter candle. So that's what we're gonna do. I did pick up some, they're not edible wicks, but they're wicks that are food safe. I did get them off Amazon and I'm kind of just trusting. I looked up a video that I trusted and I just chose the wicks that they used. I also have some candle making items. These are just little like tongs that you hook onto the wick and that'll hold it onto the jar so that the wick stays up. I got 2 jars here. I'm gonna do a big candle or like a taller candle. Do make sure if you're using a mason jar that it's not one that has like a little lip, because then you won't be able to get the candle out. These are just kind of straight. So I'm gonna be using that. I do have 2 sticks of butter, and then of course my pot that I'm gonna melt it in, and then rosemary. I'm not gonna have rosemary in the candle, hopefully. I just want rosemary, like essence of rosemary in the actual flavor of the candle. So we're gonna just cook this down with it when we melt the butter, and then I'm gonna take these out and hopefully we will be good. All right, so while I get this butter into the pan, I also bought a couple things to use during the dinner party, and one of those are these stainless steel shovel spoons and forks. They're so cute, totally unnecessary. But if you've ever seen the movie, there's like a graveyard theme through it because of Billy. And I just thought it'd be really cute to have those for serving purposes. But I also think you could use them other times, like especially if you wanted to do a little dessert. That took me a really long time to open that. It's because I was talking. It's hard for me to talk and do things. Let's just go ahead and get this in here. But if you've ever had that dessert that's called like dirt, where it's like Oreo stuff, things like that, I think it would be really cute for that, like with gummy worms coming out, and to use the little shovel spoons. So I think they'll, you definitely can use them in other situations, but come on, for Halloween, it's just adorable. Also, I'm using salted butter because this is going to go on cornbread. We're actually making cornbread in the shape of book. Is that how you, book? I can't do it. We're gonna do cornbread in the shape of book, and this is gonna be the black flame candle with it. All right, I'm going to go and melt this down on the stove quickly, and then we will come right back. Okay, while that melts, I'm gonna go ahead and get my candles ready. So I'm just going to put the little tweezers, they look like this, they kind of open up onto my candle like so. And then I'm just going to push it as close as I can to the center. Now, if I was making candles, I have these like glue dots that I'd use, but I don't want to use those with this because I don't really want glue where my warm butter is going. So I'm just going to try to keep these as straight and in the middle as I possibly can. If it's not perfect, it's okay, because you do want that dripping effect. But yeah, so I'm just going to sit those in there. I can always rearrange them if I need to. But right now they're pretty good in the middle, so I'm gonna try not to touch these. Also, while the butter's melting, I thought I'd show you the little spoons and forks. I mean, they're not the thickest spoons and forks in the world, but they're gonna be great for what I'm using them for. And then I did get just some, they look like little tombstones. I'll show you once they're up. But they are just little Hocus Pocus tombstones I thought I could sit around. So just a few items off of Amazon that I decided to invest in for this dinner party. Also, while the butter finishes up, I did want to go ahead and kind of go over and tell you like what's going to be at the dinner party. We're doing the butter candle right now, but we're gonna have cornbread in the shape of book. My sister's actually going to decorate that. Then I'm doing a pumpkin chili, and that's gonna be like our witch's brew. And then I'm gonna do these crispy potatoes that you like roast upside down in butter, and they're gonna be the Billy's Graves, and that's what we're gonna use like the little spoons for sour cream and stuff like that. And I'm also gonna do like the rainbow carrots because it's purple, purple, white, and orange. and that's the color of their hair. So I'm gonna do that for the Sanderson sisters. And then also I'm going to do black cats for Binks with the black cocoa. Now the reason I wanted to go over all the things that I'm doing is because I'm actually making this candle 3 days in advance. Well, 2 days. So I'm making it on a Wednesday and the dinner is going to be on Friday. So I'm trying to break it up so it's not just one day of having to cook everything. I'm trying to do what I can in advance. So I'm making the butter candles today, Wednesday, and those will go in the fridge and they'll be fine, you know, until Friday. And then tomorrow I'm actually going to make the chili and the cookies. So that'll be on Thursday because I like chili that sits for a little while. So I thought, you know what, let's just try doing it the day before, put it in the fridge, and then all I have to do is pull it out and heat it up. So then day of, all I will have to do is the potatoes and the carrots and the cornbread. So I'm hoping that will make it a little less stressful day of. So we're gonna try and see. And I am doing a big candle. This is gonna be the black flame candle that we're going to use for, you know, the actual dinner party. But I'm gonna make a small one because I have a little extra butter just for us to test. I just wanna see how it works. I think the butter's almost ready, so I'm gonna go check on that. Butter is melted, but I'm gonna use this slotted wooden spoon to actually get as much of the rosemary out as I can. Some of it obviously fell off of the stems, and I just don't want that in my candle. I kind of want the candle to be clean. All right, I've also let it cool just a little bit, and so I'm going to go ahead and pour this into the glass jar, and I'm gonna pour it away from myself. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm gonna put an apron on. I don't want to risk my Tim Burton, guys. I got this off of Etsy. I love this little Halloween. It's all the Tim Burton, Jack, Edward, Beetlejuice. I just love it. All right, we are protected. All right, I'm just going to slowly pour this in. I see a couple little pieces of rosemary. I mean, I did the best I could getting it out. Let's do the big candle first. Quick and confident. Okay, I feel like that's pre-centered. Okay, these are poured. Let me make this in the center just a little bit better. I think this is pretty good and centered right here. Yeah, it's on the bottom, I can feel it. So I'm gonna let these cool a little bit and get them a little bit solid so I can move them into the fridge. Welcome to day 2 of the Hocus Pocus themed dinner party prep. Today I'm working on the pumpkin chili and the black cat cookies. And I'm gonna try to do them simultaneously just so that I can get this done a little bit quicker. It's been quite a day. So I'm gonna go ahead and brown the hamburger meat for the chili. And while that's browning, I'm gonna go ahead and mix up the cookies, get the oven preheated, all that. So hopefully all of this will kind of be finishing at the same time and I won't be in the kitchen for 4 hours trying to do 2 recipes, you know? So I get my hamburger meat from a local farm. I actually buy it at the farmer's market frozen. And so I just let this thaw out in the fridge for like a day. So I'm just going to get this browning, and while this is doing its magic, I'm going to go work on the cookies. So for my black cat cookies, I'm actually gonna do my monster cookie recipe, but I'm gonna use black M&Ms instead of like the normal ghoul colors because I want it to be a black cat like Binks. So I'm just gonna cream together the butter and sugar really quickly. So hopefully they'll turn out okay. I'm gonna go ahead and get this creaming. If you've seen either of my videos where we make monster cookies, the star of the show is the black cocoa. It is what gives the dark black color, which ultimately for these cookies, I wanted to have that black cat, so I did use the black cocoa. It has a very distinct Oreo flavor because it's actually what they use to give the Oreo cookies that dark black color. And these cookies, I mean, they have become one of my favorite cookies to make, especially around this time of year. I just love having a warm black cocoa cookie with a glass of milk on a cold evening with a good show or movie. If you haven't tried these yet and you like Oreos, I'm telling you, you really should make them. So the meat is browned, the cookie dough is ready. I do need to figure out how I'm gonna do this. So I have these little black cat cookie cutters, and well, one cookie cutter, not cookie cutters, but one cookie cutter. And I'm not 1000% sure because this isn't like a rollout type of dough. So I'm not sure the best way to go about this. It may just be kind of like a testing thing. I don't know. I think I might see about putting it in here and then pressing it out. Let's just try and see what happens. I don't think that's gonna work. Scratch that. We're not gonna use the cookie cutter. I am going to do a face and shape little ears. And so this is gonna be an art project, and then I'll put the little eyeballs on it. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna take 1 scoop, 1 scoop. I think I'm gonna do 4 on each pan because these might turn out kind of big. All right, so I'm gonna just press these down and try to keep them as circular as possible. Okay. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Now I'm just going to make triangle ears for like the little pointy cat ears. This is an absolute learning experience right here. So there's 1 ear. Okay, cute. All right, so I know this one looks a little wonky, but those were my first 2 tries. I feel like I did much better on these. I'm gonna get a little black M&M for the nose, but I think they're okay. I think they're gonna turn out all right. We'll get these baking and see. Okay, here they are. I'm gonna try to shape them up just a little bit with the spoon, if I can make them look a little bit more cat-like while they're, whoops. That one broke a little bit. That's okay. I'm gonna do this without the camera. Okay, I did a little bit of shaping, which I probably should have done immediately as soon as I brought them out, because you can see some of them crack, but I have a whole nother pan in the oven. So as soon as those come out, I'm going to shape the ears and see if I can make them a little bit more cat-like. But these aren't bad. I mean, they kind of look like bears if I'm being honest, but you know, no one's gonna care. They taste good. Okay, now it's on to the chili. I put a little bit of avocado oil and then a couple onion pucks in here, and I'm going to caramelize this down while I get the garlic. After you caramelize the onions and the garlic, you're going to put the beef that you browned and strained back in the Dutch oven. Then I like to salt and pepper as I go just to ensure that it's well seasoned, and then you're gonna add a variety of beans. And for me, this was a can of dark red kidney beans, and then 2 cans of black beans. Then this recipe actually called for diced tomatoes, but I'm not a huge fan, so I just added some tomato sauce. I thought I was gonna have to add more, but I didn't need to, because once you add the water and the chicken stock and the tomato paste and the pumpkin all to the chili, honestly it was a perfect consistency. I really wasn't sure how I was going to feel about the pumpkin being in my chili, but it did add this extremely subtle sweetness. It was actually really good. If you look at the health benefits, I definitely added some good fiber as well, but I thought it just gave it something special. However, I'm not sure that if I didn't tell you that it was pumpkin that I added, that I would be able to pick it out. Like, you could tell there was something different about the chili in a good way, but it didn't have like this extreme pumpkin taste. My sister isn't the biggest chili fan, and she thought it tasted pretty good, so I do recommend it. I did end up adding more chili spice and a little bit more salt, but I think you could just do that to taste. All right, I'm going to let this just cook with the lid on for about 15 minutes, and then I'll set it to the side to cool, and we'll put it up for tonight. So these might be a bit rustic looking, but I actually think they turned out pretty cute. These are the Binks Black Cocoa cookies. I'm kind of happy with them, so cute. Here we are on day 3. I have to say, I am so thankful that I made the butter candle, the chili, and the cookies in advance. I actually underestimated how much time this was going to take for this dinner party. So having those items pre-made helped exponentially. So today, all I had to do was prep the jalapeno, the cheese, the chives, basically all the toppings for the chili and the potatoes. Then we had to make the cornbread, which actually took a lot longer than expected because we had to decorate it to look like book. Now, I found a recipe for focaccia that showed how they decorated it, and we used that. However, we decided not to make the focaccia because it's such an oily bread, and since I made the butter candle, I didn't want to have an oily bread along with butter, so we went with the cornbread.
And then if you decide to do this, you're going to use the skin of eggplant to make kind of like the binding or backbone of book. And then you use a piece of red onion and another small piece of the eggplant for the eye. And then you're using really small pieces of the skin of zucchini to make like the design of book. If I'd planned it a little better, I would have used the red onion in the chili and also grated the zucchini in the chili, but honestly, it just kind of slipped my mind. However, next time I will remember, and hopefully we'll be able to plan that a little bit better. Next thing I needed to prep was to wash and clean the potatoes for Billy's graves, and then I just cut them in half. It was quite simple. Then I did some basil, salt, carrots, and I just put those in the air fryer for 25 minutes at 390 degrees. I tried to make it as simple as possible for some of the side dishes, and then I just had to heat up my chili that I'd made the day before. Finally, after book cooked, and that was actually kind of hard to say, but once book was finished, it was time to make the potatoes. Basically, you let the butter melt on the pan for about 5 minutes until it's kind of foamy on top. And I did line my pan with tinfoil for easy cleanup. But once your butter is foamy, then you're going to salt and season the butter liberally, and then you've washed and cut the potatoes in half. Then you simply just put them upside down in the butter and you bake it for 35 to 40 minutes. The potatoes and the cornbread were easily the stars of the dinner. Both recipes were so good. They were just delicious. Overall, this dinner party turned out so cute. I actually really was pleased with the overall look. The little Amazon tombstones were only like $12, and I just felt like they really added to the aesthetic. I also got a little cauldron or like little coffee mugs from Target, and that's what we ate the chili out of. I feel like adding just little details like that really add to the feeling of a themed dinner party. So it turned out adorable. But to go over the menu, what we did, we had the black flame butter candle with the cornbread in the design of book. Then we had the witch's brew as the main dish, which was the pumpkin chili. Then our side dishes were actually the rainbow carrots that represented the hair color of the Sanderson sisters, and then Billy's potato graves. And then finally you ended the night with Binks, the black cat cookies. This turned out so great. I am already trying to think of ideas for Christmas themed dinner parties. So if you like this video, please consider subscribing so you'll be alerted for the Christmas dinner party that will be coming.